So this is an open source and local AI model that I'm running on my computer. I'm using the model Jan version 1H, and this model is small, it's lightweight, but I would say it is decent. And maybe the biggest problem of this model is right now the training data is from 2023, and that means this model has no idea about anything that happened beyond that year. However, here, as you can see, I asked a question about iPhone 17 Pro, and it is able to give me this relevant answer. So this is possible because this model features something called tool calling or function calling, and it can use an MCP server, which in this case from Exa.ai, to perform research on the internet. It is reading some content from some websites and eventually summarizing everything into this concise answer. So in this video, I'm going to show you on how you can set up MCP server on Jan.ai using the platform Exa.ai. So the model in Jan.ai is able to connect to the web and give you the most up-to-date and relevant answer. And of course, you can use it beyond that. You can use it to summarize content, or you can use it to extract blog post content from any article or link from the internet. And don't worry, the process or the setup is quite easy. You don't have to be a technical person to follow this guide. So the first thing that you need to do is you have to navigate to Jan.ai. Obviously, you have to download and install this app on your computer. So this is, I would say, the most easy to use AI tool if you want to run some AI models or large language model on your computer. And after that, after you install the program, you have to navigate to node.js, node.js.org, and this is a component that needs to exist on your computer so Jan.ai can utilize the MCP server. If you don't have this, then you have to download and install the program. Okay, this might look intimidating for some people, especially if you're not a developer, but don't worry, you don't have to be a developer to use this tool. Just download and install, and that's about it. And maybe you have to restart your computer afterward. Now after that, just go to Exa.ai and you have to create a free account, and they will give you $10 of free credits, which is enough to perform thousands of research. So that's quite generous, and you know, it's easy to set up. It's also very popular and quite reliable. Now after that, we can open Jan.ai. We can open the app on your computer. And you have to use an AI model that do support MCP tool or MCP server. Otherwise, you cannot set it up with Exa.ai. And right now, according to Jan.ai, there are only 3 models that they do recommend and do have MCP features, which is Jan Nano, there is also Jan version 1, and Lucy. And honestly, my recommendation right now is Jan version 1. So this is the latest and the most powerful model that do features MCP server. And recently they do introduce a smaller version of this variation called Jan version 1H, and that's the model that I'm using. So if you don't have a computer that is powerful enough, then I do recommend to use that model. Now, if you haven't installed the model, or if you haven't downloaded the model, you can open Jan.ai, navigate to Hub, and search using the keyword Jan version 1H, and just open this option. And for me, I'm using Jan version 1H with 4-bit quantization. That is the smallest but decent models, the smallest of the best model right now. Just download the model. And by the way, if you have a computer that is more powerful, then I guess you can use the regular version of Jan version 1, or you can use the higher quantization like Jan version 1H with 8-bit quantization. It's up to you, but for me, I'm using the smallest model. Now after that, after you have downloaded the model to your computer, we can start setting up the MCP server on Jan.ai. Just go to settings and click MCP servers. And by the way, if you don't see the menu MCP servers, that's likely because you are using the older version of Jan.ai, and you have to enable experimental feature first. And you have to navigate to general and then go to advanced and enable the experimental feature right there. Right now, I'm using the latest version of Jan.ai. That's why I don't see that option, which is actually a good thing. Now just navigate to MCP servers, and we have to enable, or we have to add Exa.ai MCP server manually because it is not available by default, so we have to add one manually. Just click this plus button, and this is the information that you need to enter. For the server name, it is going to be Exa, and for the transport type, select studio, or just select this option basically. And for the command, it is npx, and for the argument, it is -y or -y. I don't know how you call this character, but just enter this character and add another argument. The second argument is exa dash and then mcp dash again server. And for the environment variables, and the key here is exa underscore API underscore again key. And for the value, you have to insert the API key that you got from Exa.ai. Here in the dashboard, you can click this area to copy the API key and open Jan.ai app again, paste, and click save. There you go. So the server has been activated, and I do recommend to allow all MCP tool permissions so you don't have to manually accept or agree every time the tool needs to be called. Now, let's start using the model. I'm going to start a new chat. And here, before we chat anything, I do recommend to open the settings. And I usually add this extra instruction to Jan.ai. Basically, I just want to make sure that when the user or when I'm asking the latest information, it needs to check the current day, because sometimes it might be reading or searching content that was several years old. So I want to make sure that I'm getting the latest information, but this is optional. Now I'm going to click save. And after that, you have to select the model, which is Jan version 1 or Jan version 1H or perhaps Jan Nano. It's up to you what model you are using. And here, if you check the tools, you can see that the Exa tool is enabled, which is a good thing. Now, let me ask this tool to... Okay, so I have this article from CNBC, and I just want to get a summarize of this article. So I'm going to copy the link, go back to Jan.ai, and I'll ask it to summarize this article and just paste the URL and the message. So it might take quite a while to initialize the model, but after that, it's going to be calling the tool, which is the MCP from Exa. And as you can see, it is doing the research, and just wait until it is finishing the research and give you the answer. Okay, so this is the summary of this article. As you can see, it is indeed using the MCP server from Exa.ai. And you can keep asking questions, and when it is necessary to get all this information, then it's going to be using the MCP server. So that's basically how you can set up the Exa.ai MCP server on Jan.ai. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next video. I wish you a great day ahead.